Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to OTL Racing here on Twitch. Sorry about being a little bit late. So just a GT4 sprint night this evening. So 2 races for you on ACC. Small grid, but should be some decent racing nonetheless. Got some good pace drivers in here. So still looking forward to this. I am Matt, I'm your host this evening as always. So I hope you are all well. Just 3 minutes and 25 seconds left of qualifying for the first race, which is at Zolder. Leggett joins us, there we go, so he's in the session now as well. So yeah, Zolder for race number 1 and then a wet Kyalami for race number 2. So going to be fascinating. It's a good spread of cars as well. We've got 3 Astons in the top 4. Kieran Sharp though on the top step in that Ginetta. Car I know he's very fond of. We've got Scott Vincent in the Ginetta as well. It's a top 5 as 2 cars, so it'll be interesting to see if that as much a pace advantage with those two, or if it's just the ability of the driver shining through. Got Joe LaCour in 6th in the Audi, another Aston in 7th with David Martin. We have Tom DeMeester in 8th, he's also in the Audi as well as Matt Acton. BMW with Sebastian Bush, we've got Ryan Thunder in the Porsche, and then 2 AMGs with DeBatch and Martin Legg. So yeah, going to be interesting to see how they do. Here to watch the Grand Prix Tank Fish. He's so where are they? Yeah, so Fish, Mr. Andrew Pike is in 3rd. Yeah, Dean Thompson in 4th. So they're close enough. Oh, and that's a hell of a camera shot. Not quite sure who that is. We'll find out in a minute. That is that LaCour? Yeah, it was LaCour. Let's have a look. Yeah, look at that. That's a livery you're not going to miss on track, isn't it? If that comes flying past, it's going to stand out. So, it is. That makes my job easier. I hope you're well, Hydronox. Hope you're doing okay. Nearly towards the end of the weekend. Weekend is nearly upon us. Tonight being the first of 4 consecutive streams we've got tonight. Oh, and Daniel O'Brien pops up into pole. Look at that. 1:37.233, just ahead of Kieran Sharp. So he's on it tonight in this Aston. Wasn't it Audi the other night, I believe, but clearly getting on well with that Aston as well. Won one of the 2 races last Thursday. Actually, Joe LaCour and Daniel O'Brien were the 2 race winners. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare this evening. Let's go on board with Andrew Pike for a little bit. So in the Aston, there we go. What an advert for their own track back, lovely stuff. Thanks to ACC. Already own that, so all good. So he comes around the final corner. I think he's down on his time now, so he's not going to improve. As you can see by him slowing down, definitely not a good lap. He's gone board with Scott Vincent now. He's up by a couple of tenths at the moment. Would need to be a few more tenths than that to hop any positions. Dean Thompson currently just over 3 tenths ahead of him. Oh, is it? I thought... Okay, that's exactly what I thought would happen. Hydronox, where did you see that? Because I'm going to want to check that out so that we can have a look and whatnot. Update on private lobby. Oh yeah, that was... no, that was an old... I'll look at their Twitter later. We'll find out. Private, I mean, they did say private lobbies would be sooner than most people thought, I think. So, update 1.03, which includes private lobbies, is launching to down PS4. Xbox One players are in the submission. We're still in submission, but so Xbox has a slightly longer approval process. Bit of a bummer, always been that way. Oh, and Vincent put it up to 3rd, so lovely. Did gain a couple more tenths on that, so it's a good 6 tenths he's gained on that lap, and that is him done. Got the checkered flag. Nearly everybody's still in the pits as well. Dean Thompson out on track. Fun looking car he's in this evening. So yeah, private lobbies released tonight on PS4 and in the next week or so once the submission is approved. Oh, nice bit of sideways action. Lovely. Ah, bottle job. Dear oh dear. Very average Sharpie. But yeah, private lobbies, so it looks like private lobbies in the next week on console, so that's good. That'd be nice. Wish it wouldn't show more, the drivers more than once on the left, but there we go. Let's go to the timetable. So, look at that, 3 different drivers getting the quickest sector. Andrew Pike actually quickest in that last sector. Kieran Sharp in the middle and Daniel O'Brien in that first sector. Kieran Sharp actually, look at that, he's losing more than a quarter of a second. Sharpie. Disappointed in you, mate. 33.216 is a cracking first sector. Easily the best of anybody on track by a quarter of a second. So that's a hell of a drive. If you can nail that middle sector, Daniel O'Brien, he'll be much further up the away on the road. Possibly. We'll have to see. We'll see. I mean, we'll work it out, don't you worry. As soon as that's come out, see what the mechanism, how you would set it up and everything. Because I'm not convinced that it'll work how we want it to. But, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what interface they've put in to do that. And if so, can PC have it? That's what everyone will think. Oh, Bubblegum Racing, like your team name there. Thompson. That's Captain Crampy, for anyone who's wondering. So, haven't played in a week or two at this stage. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's, you know, it has its limitations because it's on console, but they've done a wonderful job to get it there at all. To get that game playable on console is unbelievable. It just means that, and they didn't sacrifice the feel. So Crampy and Fish have both played it on both consoles, and they've both said it feels exactly the same, which is unbelievable. It's an unreal bit of engineering, really. So, yeah, the only bummer being you can only play it at 30 frames a second, but you know, you have to make sacrifices. It's that or they don't get the game at all. So it doesn't even run that well on PC most of the time, to be fair. So nice short run in with the good old flag waver there. Look how happy he is. His arms must be hurting by now. So 2 20-minute races. Yeah, now we'll definitely they'll definitely, as soon as private lobbies are up, I'm sure we'll be hosting some casual nights just to see how things run and how things feel and the interface and you know, the whole process of getting a lobby set up and how clean it is and how buggy that private lobby system is. Hopefully it'll run okay, but we won't know until we jump in and try it. That's what those test nights are for. So Daniel O'Brien at the head of the pack. Got the Janetta of Kieran Sharp, bottle job himself in second position. You've got Scott Vincent third, Andrew Pike in fourth, so he's doing pretty well. He's looking pretty strong on PC, on ACC. I think that console being so similar is really helping those come across. Sorry, a bit of a cough. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. There's plenty of stuff you'll enjoy on PC. Don't you worry. So, off and away. More Pike once he finds his throttle. There we go. Nice short run in to the start. No full formation laps in these sprint nights, which is pretty nice in these. I don't think you really need to anyways. So then the weight coming down to the line. You can just see the last cars come around the corner. Final turn. And now they come down to the line. And they are go. So Daniel O'Brien off of pole. Scott Vincent looking very fighty. Off of the line already though. He's going to be fighting on the outside. He's already got past Kieran Sharp. So Sharp's going to be down to third. Andrew Pike just behind him. But Daniel O'Brien keeps the lead. Scott Vincent in second. Scott looking up for the inside, maybe showing his nose. You know, Scott, we know what Scott's like at the start of the race. He does not muck around. He wants those positions and he wants them now. But he's not able to make any inroads into Daniel O'Brien. Yeah, that's a great start though from O'Brien, you have to say. A good gap there already. So Kieran Sharp. Oh, Scott just getting loose on the curve. That's going to let Kieran Sharp have a move up the inside, I think, here. Yeah, and he's got past completely. And actually, Joe LaCour is looking maybe coming in with Kieran. No, he has to slot in there. He's lost a fair bit of ground there, actually. Just some cones going flying there. Yeah, not the easiest, easiest corner. Easy to make mistakes there. It's a good old fun track. We did this in the GT3s, one of the warm-up nights last week. So not the easiest. Some curves around here that do like to kill you, as Rob Lovelace was able to show us. I think he had 3 crashes on the same curb that night, but hey ho, he now knows where not to put that BMW GT3 car. So Daniel O'Brien, great first lap here. Let's go back slightly further. Let's watch Dean Thompson. The green car having a bit of a nightmare onto the gravel there. Not quite sure who that was. Was that Martin Legg? Judging by this cameraman, I think it might be. No, it's not. So, who was that? Was it Ronan Thunder? No, it was not. The Batch. Yeah, I think it was the Batch. We'll find out as they are crossing the line, but yeah, he is some way off at the moment. So, let's go and find the cars that are still moving. Daniel O'Brien, great first lap. 6/10 is his lead. back to Kieran Sharp. Kieran Sharp's got back ahead then of Scott Vincent after that slightly wobbly corner we saw Scott have earlier. Lost a lot of momentum there. But Scott's still in third. Good back from him. A good gap from him back to Joe LaCour. So Joe LaCour and Daniel O'Brien are race winners last week, so they're clearly big fans of the GT4s. They finish slightly further forward in the GT4s than they do the GT3s, but saying that, they were finishing pretty well in the GT3s last season. Fascinating to see how they fare on Sunday when that league gets underway, season number 4. They've been having some great battles, very similar pace those two in the GT3s, so can't wait to see what they do. So O'Brien here, under attack from Kieran Sharp. So this is looking out of Kieran Sharp's windscreen. You can see it's all over the back of Daniel O'Brien now. He's just trying to shorten those corners as much as possible, bring that gap down. It's halved it already down to 3/10. You can see O'Brien solid out of the corners there. Just pulling away Aston's Grunt, getting him down to the next corner nicely. This Ginetta is absolutely monstrous in the corners. Turns on a sixpence. Just does not have that grunt on the straight, as you can see. He does a great corner, I think. So I've gotten close here. And then off and away that Aston Martin goes into the distance. So I come around the final corner. Scott still trying to catch Kieran Sharp. We've got LaCour about 1.3 seconds back. So a bit of a gap from him back to the next car. So a little bit stretched out, these guys. But as I said, these nights very much used as a little bit of a casual opportunity to get into these races, get used to the cars. So there's a lot of experimenting, people trying different cars and seeing how they feel with them, and they've all got very individual personalities and characteristics to how they drive. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how they manage. I mean, O'Brien, I'm pretty sure he was in the Audi last week. He's looking pretty nippy in this Aston Martin too. It'd be interesting to see which one he prefers himself. But he's keeping his gap nice. Kieran Sharp doing his best to try and hone in on him, but struggling just a little bit. You can see those three behind him. Got Sharp, Vincent and LaCour. And still less than 2 seconds, or just over 2 seconds maybe, between them. And actually, Pike not massively far in the distance. You can still see him there. And the joy of these GT4s, it does still stay quite close. Can't quite disappear off into the distance like you can in the GT3s. You can see Daniel, look at that, so quick out of that corner. And that Ginetta just suffers the two cars behind him are Ginetta, so he knows if he gets a good exit, he doesn't have to panic. He knows that Ginetta is going to be quicker through the turns than he is, so he just needs to make sure he gets good drive out of the corner, and that's what he's nailing at the moment. Look at that, just really, really patient, good consistent driving that. Make sure that he's able to make use of the extra top speed he's going to have over that Ginetta on any straight. So that lead up to 8.5 tenths now. So great driving from him so far. Kieran Sharp still in second. Scott Vincent just trying to reel him in a little bit. Joe LaCour 1.4 back. Hasn't been able to really bring those guys closer as of yet. That pace just a bit difficult to live with. So you can see he's got Andrew Pike another couple of seconds behind him. He's about 1 second ahead of David Martin. We've got Dean Thompson just behind him. We've got Matt Acton in 8th. Martin legs up to 9th, just ahead of Sebastian Busch in 10th. Let's go and see that fight at the moment. Oh, wrong person. Let's click on the right one. There we go. So there's Martin Legg in the AMG, just ahead of the Beamer of Sebastian Busch. That is a bit busy livery that Busch has gone with this evening. Be interesting to see how they're faring with those cars, how they feel, how they're getting on with them this evening. Let's go back on with this front group though. Actually, let's go back to Pike. He's now all of a sudden got Martin and Thompson, David Martin and Thompson all over the back of him. So a poor lap from Andrew Pike. Oh, Joe LaCour though, he's had more issues. Joe LaCour's dropped down to 5th spot. So he's definitely had an issue there. Pike moved up to 4th. And all of a sudden we've got a train of 3 cars here, fighting for that 4th spot. So that first train of 3, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, all fighting for the race win. We've got 4th, 5th and 6th here, very close as well. A little bit spread out after that. We've got Martin Legg and Sebastian Busch fairly close, but the rest of them a little bit spread out. Those guys maybe just struggling a little bit more. with the GT4s. So still just experimenting and trying them out. And like I said, we've got a smaller grid anyway, so we'll, with a larger grid, which we will have when the league comes, is going to be feel a little bit different. Different dynamics when you have more cars around you. So Pike holding on to that 4th position nicely at the moment. So you see Joe LaCour, there you are, David Martin, not far behind him, so it's about half a second. So it's Audi back to Aston, he's got an Aston in front as well. And you can see the car in front here, Andrew Pike. So similar gap. Evening Jack, evening dude. Hope you are well, man. How are you? Got plenty of commentaries coming up this weekend, I assume. Can't remember what's popped up on my YouTube, but yeah, no, you're a man in demand, so I'm sure there's quite a bit. Yeah, man, they're quick. Well, they're quick through the corners. Oh, that was close from Joe LaCour. He's just missed his braking point there. He's done amazingly well to avoid Andrew Pike. But saying that, he's now got, if the cameraman can show us, come on, cameraman. There we go. He's now got David Martin fully alongside. So how are they going to get through here too wide? Just the one this weekend, got 3 next week. Oh, lovely. A little bit of a rest and then go at it again. So let's go back up front. Let's see. That's Aston Martin of Daniel O'Brien doing superbly. So he's been leading all race. Kieran Sharp and Scott Vincent just not been able to catch them at the moment. That gap's been pretty consistent, somewhere between half a second and 1.2 seconds all race. That extra cornering power of the Ginetta has just been outplayed by the straight line speed of the Aston. Most cars are quicker than that Ginetta down a straight line. It really relies on the cornering speed. So Daniel O'Brien just making sure, like I said, that he aces that corner exit, makes the most of that extra oomph it's got out of each corner over the 2 cars behind him. And he's driving it superbly at the moment, so fair play to him. So we're not even halfway through this first race. So the second race will be interesting, a wet Kyalami. That's going to be fun. You got a new wheel there yet, Jack? Or one on the horizon? Hope you have, dude. I hope it's coming soon. Anyways, it's I'm sure you're missing a bit of racing if you haven't still got one. Kieran Sharp going a bit wide there, but still driving nicely. So coming up to halfway through as we come through the final turn. So that leads, it's just increasing if anything by just a tenth or two every lap. 1.2 seconds now, and then a second back from Kieran Sharp to Scott Vincent. And you've got this fight of Joe LaCour in 5th. He's been dropped a little bit by Andrew Pike, 1.3 seconds. So Pike doing pretty well here. You see LaCour got David Martin just on his rear. So still some good fighting to be had for those guys.
Keep pushing.
There we go, so halfway through now. See Pike's just pulled away a little bit, just a little bit into the distance. Got 1.4 second gap. So it just means you can chill out a little bit, just relax a bit more. So these 3 guys, like the rest, slightly spread out. Well, Scott Vincent, you can see, he's actually dropped back a bit further from Kieran Sharp than he was earlier. Nearly 2 seconds on the last sector time in. So those Ginetta's just struggling to live with that power of that Aston Martin. But Daniel O'Brien driving that superbly, can't complain. These 2 just trying to reel him in and just waiting for a mistake, and it's just not coming. You can see Kieran Sharp really is pushing as hard as he can there. So he's really trying to take as much of the curbs as possible. Let's go on board with his bonnet cam. So lovely sounds on ACC. Best sounding game by a million miles. It just sounds beautiful. So it looks like he's trying to get some tyre warmth in there. You can see Daniel O'Brien 1.728 the gap on the start line for this 7th lap. And there's nothing he can really do about it. He is resting on the hope that Daniel O'Brien will make a mistake now. I think that might be in vain. I don't think we've seen any real chinks in his armour yet. Daniel O'Brien being superbly consistent. You can see 1.8 seconds back to Sharp Vincent, 1.3 further back, so they can very much still see each other. Still very close, but it's not close enough to have a good old fight amongst themselves. So Pike still holding on to 4th. Good racing from him, 1.5 back, so very similar gaps between these three as well, actually. LaCour and Martin behind him. And you've got Dean Thompson with Matt Acton not far behind, so that's a bit of lapped car they're getting out of the way. So that car's been into the pits and has come back out. Car getting a bit loose on the exit there of the chicane. Hopefully it kept it pointing in the right direction. I think it did. Good stuff. So that lapped car just behind Dean Thompson. You've got Matt Acton a little bit further back, and then you've got Martin Legg, not doing too badly. He's in 9th. Oh, cameraman. Oh, and there we go. So yes, Matt Acton. Number 27 Audi. Fairly noisy livery. Again, another one you're not really going to miss. Makes the commentator's job a little bit easier, so we don't mind. But back in 8th at the moment. So just need to trying to find some pace and get up to pace in these GT4s. Which I'm sure he will, very much like he's done in the GT3s. He's pretty competitive in those as well. Whether he says that or not, he is decent in those. And maybe just takes a little while to get into the GT4s and the driving style. You see some quick guys that actually aren't as fast, and you see some of the slower guys that are much quicker in the GT4s than they are GT3s. So it suits some more than others. For 1.7 seconds, still that lead, still holding that out. It's come down by a couple of tenths in the last lap, but nothing really considerable, so I don't think he'll be worrying. He'll just be trying to take this consistently, not push too hard. You can see the track's at optimum conditions are anyways. It's nice sunny weather for this first race. No wind. Track temperature of 28 degrees Celsius, so they won't be minding that too much. Scott Whitson just trying to keep tabs on Kieran Sharp here, just trying not to let them pull away. But still a mistake to be had, especially in the last stages of the race. You know, when the gap is only 1.5 to 2 seconds, you know, if they have a fairly large wiggle out of the corner, they'll hemorrhage time very, very quickly. If they have a full spin, obviously you're straight past. So you need to stay on it and keep on your mettle. David Martin is 6th at the moment, trying to catch up back to Joe LaCour. Let's go on board the front camera. There we go. So yeah, you can see 1.7 seconds. Not huge in the GT4s, obviously a slightly slower car. But it's enough, unless they're really making mistakes. It feels like a fair gap. So you have to really be on your own mettle, make sure you don't make any mistakes. Just try and eke out a 10th here and a 10th there. So it'll be interesting to see next race how they fare as well, if anyone swaps into a different car. Well, he just had to lift off the throttle there, didn't want to go too wide onto that curb-in, knows what that can do to people, he's seen what that does to other cars. GT4 are able to attack the curbs a little bit more, but yeah, still want to be slightly wary, be a bit careful. So Martin getting on that, David Martin getting on the curves there, lost all that time he gained, and yeah, off to the gravel he goes, and it slows down, so that's going to lose him some much needed pace, unfortunately, so he'll have to do all of that again. Joe LaCour there was nearly under pressure, he's getting a bit in the gravel there, so not doing quite as well this evening as he did in race I think it was race 1 last week. But front runners really taken off into the distance. You've got Joe LaCour, you see look, the gap back. Just growing bit by bit. I think Kieran Sharp's not had the greatest start to the lap here. Has dropped about 3/10 to Daniel O'Brien, so that gap now up to 2.5 seconds. That's a fairly chunky gap that's going to be very hard to do anything about in the last 3 minutes. Not much time left in this race now. You can see nicely taking every corner as much as he can do without really pushing it completely unnecessarily far. Not taking too much curb, not taking too much grass. He's just using as much curb as he has to. You can see there it's nice and smooth. Kieran Sharp going a little bit wider. He feels a bit more confident going wide there, clearly coming out of that hairpin, but yeah, it's not quite working for him at the moment. So a couple of laps left now. So then roughly in the 137s, most of the drivers at the front at the moment. 137s, 138s. Some cars in the 139s. So they might just have a few drivers that maybe don't feel as comfortable on Zolder. Especially while the GT4s are still relatively new. What, they've been around for a week now. So, yeah, people need a bit more time to get used to them. It does take a fair bit of track time. Not everyone's obviously got loads of that at the moment. But yeah, superb drive from Daniel O'Brien. Kieran Sharp should be fairly safe from Scott Vincent. Just needs to not make any further mistakes. You can see Sharpie really, I don't think he's going to have to think about Daniel O'Brien up the road anymore. I think it's all going to be about just keeping that second position, feeling more comfortable with the car. Lovely looking livery that, do I have to say. Beautiful looking thing. Just trying to use as much of those curbs as possible, as much as the game allows you to. So Scott Vincent 1.1 seconds behind, so pretty close. It's closed in by a couple of tenths this lap, I think. Yeah, it is. It's just come down a little bit, and obviously it's Ginetta on Ginetta, so there's going to be no differences between the car performance over and above any setup work they've done, but there's very little you'll do on a GT4. But yeah, Scott will be pushing. And we know how quick Scott is, multiple championship winner in OTL. Most of them project cars too, but he's rapid. He's rapid on anything you put him in. And he just wants to catch that car up front, just wants to latch onto Kieran Sharp. So I'm going a little bit wide there on that first turn. Don't think it's caused him too many problems. Scott just scrubbing off a little bit wide there. But again, looks okay, but Daniel O'Brien off into the distance now. So we'll come back round to these guys in a very short amount of time and see how they are doing. Let's go back to David Martin, see how he's faring in the mid-pack, because he's the one with the closest battle around him. So we've got Joe LaCour just in front, again, just under a second, very similar gap that Vincent had to Sharp. Actually, that's come down a little bit, so we'll go on board with that in a second. That is the next closest fight on track. Most of the rest of them quite spaced out now. So it'll be up to LaCour to try and keep him behind. Let's go back on board with Scott Vincent. So he's catching up like no one's business into the back of Kieran Sharp. Sharp's going to be having to push now. Let's go back on board with that front-facing camera. So you see there, he's taking that corner shallower. He isn't going out wide to take that corner as wide as possible. Yeah, that got down to half a second now. So Scott Vincent definitely pushing. Been setting some cracking lap times. Quickest guy on track the last 2 laps. I don't think he's going to catch him coming through to the final 2 corners. We'll go aboard with Daniel O'Brien. So he'll be pretty tough with himself here. Looks like a contender for this GT4 league when it gets started. So well done, Daniel O'Brien. Superb win there. Oh, Kieran Sharp just by 2 tenths keeps Scott Vincent at bay for the top 3. We'll go Andrew Pike. Another solid drive from him. Comes to the line down in 4th position, but another good drive from him too. Joe LaCour just beats David Martin to 5th, only 3.5 tenths between them. Oh, little tap into the wall. As Joe LaCour slows down just in front of David Martin. Dean Thompson, good finish. Come home in 7th place. We have Matt Axton coming home in 9th. on board with Martin. Leg, the AMG comes around the final corner. Purple, white and black. Liveried AMG comes across the line for 9th spot. Solid drive from him there. Sebastian Bush in that Beamer comes home in 10th spot. Where are we? Where is the back? So let's go find him. Cameraman's going to go berserk in a minute. And there he is. We did all that movement and then we just swapped cameraman. Typical. So another livery you're not going to miss. So back's just come around the final couple of corners. He'll come home in 11th spot. So I had a few nightmares earlier on. Ended up in the gravel trap. I think probably facing the wrong way. So that took him a fair while to get out of. But he is over the finish line. Comes home in 11th. So well done there. We have Tom Demeister. He's come around the final corner. So I had a bit of a struggle there. But again, gets to the end. So fair play. Comes home in 12th position. Ronnie Thunder, I think he's still out on track. Yeah, no, but not going very quickly. So let's see how long that car takes to get to the end. That car sounds a bit knackered. So we'll see if he's still going to need to complete the lap. Otherwise, we might be here a little while. I think everyone's back in the pits. No, Scott Vince will come out on his, I say victory lap. He came third, but you get what I mean. Processionary lap. The next race is going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. So a wet Kyalami, I believe it is. So we'll have to see how they fare. But I did have the effects on this. Going to see a bit in the distance. All that smoke and flares coming from the grandstand. Looking very, very good. It's a lovely looking game. As I said, all the GT4 cars are so well made. He's going to provide for some cracking racing. That should be a pretty interesting league in a few weeks' time. So we're just waiting for Rolling Thunder to finish, I believe. Let's double check in on him. So I still got a little way to go. It's just at the start of the lap, so I don't think he clearly finished just ahead on the road. A couple of laps down, but just ahead on the road to the front runner, so he needs to complete the rest of this lap. Not sure if he slowed down thinking he'd finished and then hadn't, but no, there we are, done. He is finito. This is certain, obviously, time limit until you get to the end. So there we go, that was race number 1. So they'll be hopping out this livery, hopping out of this lobby into a second lobby for race number 2. As I said, it'll be another 20-minute race with a 10-minute qualifying. And yeah, Kyalami, will be interested to see how the GT4s fare around there. Not sure I've actually watched the GT4 race there at the moment, but it should be pretty good. I don't know why it says warning CPU usage. It definitely isn't 99%. So I appreciate it trying to help me, but it's not. So false positives. So yeah, Zolder, a lovely track, but Kyalami's going to be fascinating to see how they all fare. So let's hop out of this lobby now and we'll get to lobby number 2. There we go. So Kyalami, as I said, I believe it's in the rain. So that's going to give it an interesting dynamic. Whether they'll... you might see some drivers preferring it, the car they normally drive, struggling with it a little bit. And you might see some come out of their shell and actually get on better in the wet conditions than they do in the dry. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see. Wet, wet, wet. There's quite a few puns there, isn't there, really? You feel it in your fingers? If you don't follow that up, I'm going to be miffed, by the way. Let's go and see if it's up now. And it is. Lovely. Connect. And we're straight in. Beautiful job.
Green light, give it all you can.
Yeah, look at that. Lovely shiny track. Gotta love it. Oh. Don't really want to... Don't really want to be in a car. That's weird. Right. Will it let me change? No, it isn't. Weird. Let's see. Will my camera controls work this time? They will. Let's get out into the TV cameras. Lovely job. There we go. 10-minute practice. Lovely. Yeah, I think that's fair enough in these conditions. It looks good though, doesn't it? So let's come board from his cockpit camera, see what it looks to him. So just going to have to tread carefully around here. Just go around on your tippy toes. You can hear how gently he's having to go on the throttle there. It still goes quite wide. Yeah, not having any of that. First lap out of the pits. It's not going to turn, but fair play for trying. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they manage. Let's come on board with Daniel O'Brien, see how he fares. So same car as we just saw David Martin, to see how he drives this on the first lap out. It's all going to be about that careful throttle management, just making sure you brake early enough. He's able to feel those limits in the wet better than everyone else. So there is that limit. You can be too cautious in these sort of weather conditions. Very easy to be too cautious. So just kicking up that spray there. So a bit about that driver who attacks enough, but just finds that limit and stays there and makes the most of it. Anyone who pushes too hard will know about. Be facing the wrong way very quickly. A little off track there from Daniel O'Brien. Let's double Kieran Sharp, see how he fares. Jeanette's windscreen up again like there's no tomorrow. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think everyone's in the same car. I think let's have a quick check over. I believe so. Oh no, I think Andrew Pike, I think is in a Porsche now, and I think he was in the Aston previous race. I might be talking out of my backside though. It wouldn't be a surprise if I was. But yeah, they'll get a few laps in. Just get a feel for the conditions, and then we'll get into qualifying for the second race of the evening. Definitely better weather here than it is at Kyalami and the server, I can tell you that. Absolutely roasting here. It doesn't look very warm on track. 23 degrees track temperature, so yeah, so yeah, it's not nowhere near as warm as the last race, as it obviously wouldn't be. So I'm sure we'll get into the real qualifying pretty shortly. Just everyone getting a couple of laps in. It's a lovely looking game this. Be interested if anyone gets an actual fast time in. So it'll be interesting to see how that Jeanette being so good in the turns, how that really helps it round that Kyalami, especially with the weather conditions. Does that allow it to just get a little bit more grip out of the track? 10 minute .4 for Daniel O'Brien. wouldn't be surprised if we see a spin or two around here. So we'll be off into practice, off into the fall quali soon. Evening, Jack. Evening, ma'am. Racing Janssen, thank you very much for the follow. Much appreciated. Hope you're doing well. No, yeah, admin thing and quickly sorting something else out as well as here. So it's like, right, while it's in practice, quickly sort that out. Don't want to be doing that mid-qualifying or mid-race. No, don't worry, I'm still here. I don't have to run off quickly, but... So all drivers out on track bar Rolling Thunder at the moment. So Daniel O'Brien's still looking the quickest. He's clearly hot to trot in those GT4s. Saying that, there goes Scott Vincent, 7/10 of a second quicker. So the Ginetta are clearly handy around here. So let's go back on board with Daniel O'Brien. So Dean Thompson in third in the Aston as well. It's clearly not a bad machine in the wet, that Ginetta. So it might come down to personal ability, personal preference for the weather conditions. I always used to enjoy racing in the wet. Haven't done it for some time, unfortunately, but you never know. One day might hop it back in the driving seat again and prove how mediocre I am now. Oh boy, that made me sweat. The GT4s are still quite quick. Sound like a car off in the background. And these cars are still pretty fast. They're a good few seconds slower than a GT3, but not hugely on a dry track. On a like 1 minute 40 circuit, maybe 4 or 5 seconds. So we're probably now down to 4th. So LaCour and Vincent, Kieran Sharp, at Ginetta right up the top. So top 2 places held by Ginetta. Joe LaCour in 3rd. So 2 Ginettas, then 5 Aston Martins, and then the rest. We've got AMG, 2 Beamers. It's Martin Leggon in the Beamer. That's brave. Andrew Pike in that Porsche. So I think not long now. I think we'll be hopping straight into qualifying. They're a quick bunch, to be fair. Those, Kieran, so Sharpies, Scott, Joe LaCour, they're all, Dano, said Dean Thompson. They're all quick drivers. So looks lovely, that shine on the road. A bit of wet. Oh, and he's done well to stop that, hitting the left hand side barrier, but that is him. Donk. There we are, he's done. So I think practice is basically finished, so they'll be hopping into quali anytime now. I keep saying that. One of these times I will be right. I'm sure I'll be right. Kieran Sharp is in the pits. Ooh, look at that. That's a high-vis Aston Martin. Nice and easy to spot in the weather conditions. I appreciate that. But just half a second back. 58.9 from Kieran Sharp. 59.4. 4.12 for Joe LaCour. So it'll be fascinating to see how they fare in the different weather conditions, to see if how they manage a slightly different inclement weather to what we had in the nice toasty race number 1. So most of them hopping in the pits now. They'll just be letting them finish their laps. Oh, you're in the McLaren, are you, leg? Had a few issues in it. You can see the angry red McLaren there. It's come with Scott Vincent, so he's still on the lap as well. Joe LaCour in the pits. Andrew Pike, now he's done in the Porsche, little mini Porsche. He's in the pits. So just Sebastian Busch and Scott Vincent still out on track. And no, they're not. There we go, it's finally qualifying. Whoop whoop whoop. There we go. So, who's going to leave first? Is Scott Vincent pretty eager? Does anyone beat him out? No, they do not. There we go. There's a bit of a bow, is it? Yeah, well, I mean, brave choice, pick it for this of all races. Oh no, you didn't go to Williams, did you? Sorry, yeah, you went for the McLaren. Oh, you swapped. Okay, that makes sense. You hopped out and went for the McLaren. Fair enough, you're like, sold this. I am changing car. That's a wise choice by the sound of it, by the sounds of things, if it's that hard to drive. So Scott Vincent, first guy out on track. I think Daniel O'Brien not far behind him, actually. Yep, there we go. It's a funky rain effects, aren't it, off the back of that? That spray, it's kicking off a weird, like a blurring almost, but yeah. No, it's not again, it's just how that just seems to be the way the rain looks. So roughly 2-minute lap, so they'll have maybe 4 attempts. As long as they don't have to go back to the pits and do a second out lap. Depends how the tyres fare. We'll follow Scott Vincent now. Who was that first car out on track? Let's try an onboard camera, see what they look like. So this bonnet cam. It's like a GoPro to the front of his car. It's got this great sensation of speed. You can see that wet track, the slippery runoff around here as well. There's cracking if you go into free camera mode. There is, you're able to go and actually look at the drainage that's around the corner, around each corner in the circuit. In a couple of places, you can see where you can actually see the water draining down the hill and collecting in certain spots. It's so amazingly done. I think Aris had I think it was Aris who on his YouTube channel had a video showing people. Well worth a look if you want to go on YouTube and find that. So onto a hot lap now. With Daniel O'Brien not far behind. You can see where the track is wettest. There's light reflections looking lovely on that wet circuit. So it'll be interesting to see the Ginetta and the Aston face off, especially in the race, see how they fare against each other. See how they manage the different weather conditions, whether that Aston Martin does have a little bit more grip, is able to make use of it, or its issues with the straight line speed. I mean, it is very vulnerable to these Aston Martins. So comes up to the top of the hill, hits the apex nicely, gets his foot planted, starts flying the downhill. You can see here. You can see it's a lovely corner this. Not so much in the wet, so I didn't feel like he wanted to keep that throttle pinned all the way round. But now sod that, I will get a little bit on the lift there. Just slow down, not going to brake obviously, just a little lift. Come off the power, get it round. Just coming around to the penultimate turn. So pit entry on the left there, and come around to the final turn. So what does he do? First time of the day with Daniel O'Brien just behind. What will he set? Well, it's very similar. Quarter of a second back, that the Aston Martin. 158.491. So nearly halfway through quali. Oh, that's very wide from Scott. That is going to ruin that lap. But there's no point going back in and doing an out lap. Might as well carry on. Save yourself a minute and a half. Daniel O'Brien already a little bit up on his time. Kieran Sharp in third. 7/10 back. Joe LaCour in fourth in that high-vis Aston Martin. One of the race winners last week. Funky windscreen wipers. Can't quite remember what those ones are called, where they go from, where they're mounted far, you know, the opposite ends. Clapping windscreen wipers? Something like, I can't remember. Look funky though, they do stand out a little bit, so he's 1.6 back at the moment. Some way to catch up at the moment, but as I said, race winner. One of the two race winners last week, so should have it in him to kind of compete at the front, unless he really struggles in the wet or with this track. So still that mid pack, still a few of them to get a proper good hot lap in. Look also getting all of the curb there. Comes round to the final corner. Get that pedal down. Use as much of the road as possible. Does he improve his lap? So, should be a fair jump here, but whether he'll get a space. Oh, he does. Just gets ahead of Kieran Sharp. Not by much, though. 1.5 tenths. So, Sharp's down on his current lap, though. So, he won't be improving by the looks of things. A couple of tenths down. Vincent, just over 3.5 tenths behind Daniel O'Brien. A few drivers now improving their time. Kieran Sharp is actually up on his time now, so he's obviously improved somewhere. He didn't have a great couple of corners last lap. Scott Vincent 2 tenths up currently. You can see Daniel O'Brien in the background. So can he get another tenth or two? Trying to eke out a little bit more time. Yeah, up to 3 tenths up now. Daniel O'Brien though also a tenth up on his best time now. So Scott Vincent is finding time here. He might be in with a chance of making pole, but so will Daniel O'Brien be in with a good chance of holding on to it. He's suddenly improved by a couple of tenths on this lap, so he's now 3 tenths up on his own best lap. So Scott Vincent might go pole here for all of about a second and a half before Daniel O'Brien nicks it back. All depends how they handle these last few turns. Penultimate corner gets the rear out again, hops over that curb. Daniel O'Brien does not look like he's gaining any time now. Scott Vincent's lost a little bit himself, but he's still up. It's constantly fluctuating. Let's see what happens. So Scott to come over the line. 0.360 of a second to gain to nab pole. Oh, and he's 15 thousandths of a second off, and then Daniel O'Brien goes and improves by 0.27 of a second. So, as you were, the gap is actually bigger now than it was Well, that's not. It's slightly smaller than it was, but yeah, Scott got very, very close and then dropped a bit further back again. On board with Kieran Sharp. It's 1.1 seconds up on his previous best lap, so he's going to move here probably into second or third. Let's see how far. He'll definitely move up into third. Will he get second? He does. Just over half a tenth ahead of Scott Vincent. So Janetta in second and third. Clearly a decent motor around here. He's got two very quick drivers behind the wheel as well, which helps. Daniel O'Brien up again. A couple of tenths on his current lap. Scott Vincent up again on his next best lap. Joe LaCour 3 tenths up. David Martin 4 tenths up. Quite close to each other, so that might get them close after they both finish this lap. Do have quite some way to go to try and catch Scott Vincent though. About second between third and fourth at the moment. Still got the batch, Sebastian Bush and Dean Thompson to set time. Probably quite easy to run off a bit too far around here. Get a lap invalidated. So coming to the top of the hill. Get it slowed down nicely. Try and just nip that apex and then get it flying back down towards the start finish. So currently nearly a second up on his best lap, so he is in with a chance of nabbing third here. If you can get in more time, just a couple more tenths in this last part of the lap, and you never know. Oh, Kieran Sharp there, as we said, yeah, he's still in second. Scott Vincent third. Daniel O'Brien in the pits. He is done now, so what can Joe LaCour do? Last couple of corners, where's Kieran Sharp? He's a bit further back. Scott Vincent is just coming over the line. Oh, Scott Vincent takes pole by just under a tenth. What does Joe LaCour do? So Scott Vincent 1:57.780 nabs pole by 800ths of a second from Daniel O'Brien. He'll be gutted about that. Joe LaCour, oh, he does improve by, but not by enough though. So pretty good effort, just over half a second back. I tell that to Vincent and Sharp. Pretty nippy in that car. Not wrong with picking a car that's good for the conditions. You did have the opportunity and you picked the McLaren. That was your boo-boo. Dano's just quick in the GT4s, isn't he? Clearly he's solid. Not as quick as Scott though. 1:57.780. I think everybody is just about done. Dean Thompson moved up to 6th. Got a good valid lap time in. 2 seconds off of the top times, but yeah, it's going to be pretty ruthless trying to be quick and quick in the wet round here. So you will see the gaps be a little bit bigger to that mid-pack. Oh, Sharpie. Below average Sharpie, we'll call him suboptimal Sharpie. Bottle Sharpie. It's a bit harsh. I do apologise. Right, at least you know you got the pace. Just about. Very similar to Scott. And Dano as well. That's going to be fascinatingly close. So look again. So first sector, yeah, look at that. 35.406 from Joe LaCour. Is that the qualifying one? Just double check. Yep, it is. So that's very quick. 46.995. Clearly the best driver in the second sector is Daniel O'Brien. And no one even close to him by, I mean, the next driver, yeah, is Scott Vincent at 47.250. It's a quarter of a second clear. But again, Scott Vincent himself, quarter of a second clear on that final sector. So you just need to nail a lap here. It's just putting those good corners together on the same lap in these conditions, which isn't the easiest thing to do. And so you compare it to the times in practice, 1:58.986. So they did go quite a bit quicker. So they have found more time, but it'll be interesting to see where the battles are.
Right, we have some
around here. Don't say. Yep. Will do. Cheers. I really wish they had like spectator. They had like commentator, like crew chief. Just massages your ego a bit, you know. It just tells you you're good and to believe in yourself. Or every now and again, just shut up, stop talking rubbish. All that kind of thing. Do like that livery. I think that's Joe LaCour. Was that David Martin? Let's have a look. It's a funky livery nonetheless. That is, who is it? It's Dean Thompson. Yeah, quite like that, weirdly. I'm growing more fonder of that livery as it goes. Slicks. That's it's brave, isn't it? Bravery and stupidity are very similar things. Very, very close together. Very easy to accidentally slip from one to the other. Just saying, leg, I'm not saying you need wets on here, but that track looks damp. It's alright, it's only been raining in the last 20 minutes. Let's go to Helicam, don't want to be up there in this weather. Trees are swaying and the clouds are pouring down here. A very rainy, wet South Africa. So just 25 seconds to go, and then we'll have another 20 minutes. It's going to be a bit more eventful round here, I fear. But yeah, it is got to see what it's like in these conditions, see how they handle it. The Inajardia, yeah, that didn't go quite well for him. And no offence, Legger, but there's a slight gap in ability. I mean, you're not bad, but like, he'd absolutely slaughter you. Just saying. Good luck though. Yes, good luck, Leg. So, just before the final couple of corners, Scott nearest to the camera. I'll get that pedal down. It's a very short run-ins to the start-finish. Everyone get around that penultimate corner, floor it to catch up to each other. Oh, thank God there's Ghost in there, otherwise we'd have had a crash very early on. That would have been a weird place to crash. So Scott on the outside, nearest the camera. And Daniel O'Brien in front, so Scott just dropped a bit too far back when that timer hit. When that speedo came into force, it did. So yeah, he's not been penalised there, I don't think. So Scott's been caught out a little bit there on that starting procedure. It's not perfect on this game, unfortunately, but it's not surging too badly there. So does he keep the lead? Daniel O'Brien trying to go around the outside. So go around the inside. If it slots in behind, we'll wait for another opportunity. Everyone clean so far. Nicely done. We'll see how that goes to the next few corners. Let's go with David Martin. Some nice liveries back there. I'll have to go and check those out in a minute. There's a noisy boy back in the distance. Evening, Hannah. Hope you're well. Hope you've had a good week so far. Yeah, rainy conditions. This slightly wet. It's a bit of a challenge, but that's what it's there for. See how they fare. Try different cars in different conditions. Car going slightly off into the grass in the background. But just about rescues it. So all fairly compact still and close. David Martin, Kieran Sharp just behind. Just in front of him. Dean Thompson. Actually, that car just behind him is number 23. So who's that now? That is Kieran Sharp. So Sharp dropped back a little bit. David Martin hopped up in front. Dean Thompson behind him. Sharpie thinking, I'll try and have a go at that inside line. And I think he just pulls out a little bit in the end. But David Martin not been sure. I think it's just left him a little bit of space just in case there, which is probably studious, just in case anything. Sharpie, this is his breaking point, but a little bit in these weather conditions. Yeah, man. Yeah. Don't worry. Ah, bummer. It's well worth getting, mate. As and when you can do it, it is well worth it. For unbelievable tracks, it's well worth the purchase. Hope you had the right time in the first race, though. Not an easy bunch to race with. Quite quick. So especially the front guys are a tad rapid. I mean, the guys in the GT3 league and hopefully in the GT4 league as well, even quicker. A bit hard to keep up with. That's not like that is. It's just this ACC is as much a game about experience. You literally you can only get quicker on ACC by putting time in. So it's what goes in comes out in terms of the results for the effort you put in. It's all you can do on ACC. It's just churning in those laps and just trying to get a bit more consistent here and there. And especially the GT4's only been out a week. There's only so much experience people can have in them so far. People still trying to experiment with the cars that they like. So Sharpie up to third. David Martin now down to fourth, but not far back. Joe LaCour in for a fight as well. So these three. Kieran Sharp just dropped a little bit off the front two. Let's go back on board with Scott and Daniel O'Brien. There we go. Come around having a bit of a nightmare again. So Scott Vincent, about half a second clear. Red Aston Martin of O'Brien. On the prowl though. He'll be loving tonight if he can make this 2 wins in 2. He'll be building a bit of a reputation for himself in these GT4s. But Scott driving superbly at the moment, as Scott often does. Very adaptable driver, can put him in many cars on many sims and he'll get quick pretty quickly. And the same as when he was on iRacing, same when you put him on R Factor, you put him on AC, just normal AC. Quick no matter what. Hate people like that. It's totally not jealousy. Well, a couple of clips of the inner curb there. A bit more from O'Brien, but doesn't seem to have unsettled him too much. So Sharpie, Kieran Sharp, you can see he's just trying to hunt them down at the moment. Trying to close that gap. Done fairly well. Got it under 3 seconds at the last timing line. Let's see what it is now as they come over at the start finish. So down to 2.4. So really good lap, last lap by Kieran Sharp. It's actually half a second better than the other cars on track. So see if we can not bottle it in the race like he has in qualifying for the last two. His words, not mine. But if he uses his own words like that, I'm absolutely going to reuse them on himself. I'm not going to pass down that opportunity. So already half a second up on this lap as well. So he looks like he has some pace about him around here in this Ginetta. I feel he's going to be someone very, very quick, especially in the league itself. So let's go back up to the front two. Kieran Sharp down to 2.1. Yeah, he's going to be on the rear of these two. You can see he's closing in so quickly. If he's got that much pace, he might be hard to keep behind. But they're going to have to get their elbows out as soon as Sharp gets anywhere near them. Because he's about half a second a lap quicker at the moment. And possibly even more on this lap. We will see when they come around to the start finish again. Vincent driving a nice solid race so far. You can see Daniel O'Brien all over the back of him. A little wiggle there, as you see, as O'Brien put his foot down. I just compromised him a little bit, just lost him a tenth or two. He's just going to let Scott just pull away a little bit more, both having to lift around that in the middle of that long sweeping left-hander. So you can see it looks like Kieran Sharp there benefits a lot from the beginning and the end of the lap, but struggles a bit in the middle. Looks like he went quite wide there, so he's going to have lost a fair bit of time again. So that's a shame, but he'll catch up again shortly, I'm sure. It's coming around the final corner. Floors it down to the start finish. Oh, someone, yellow flag come out there, but there it looks all good. Oh, another yellow flag. Yeah, people going wide, I'd imagine. Easily done in this car. It's going to be with Andrew Pike. Slightly battered up Porsche. I don't know if there's been any incidents. I believe there have. That doesn't mean there hasn't. Might be people just making their own mistakes in this car at the moment. So he's down in 10th. Maxton. He's got the batch just in front of him. That green AMG. So that is the batch and Maxton, both in those green cars. Just double checking. So yeah, the AMG and the Aston Martin. My timing not having a good old time. My streaming app, but hey ho, worked out in the end. So yeah, Kieran Sharp's dropped off a little bit. Oh no, Daniel O'Brien. So what have we missed there? Just gone to him just after he's ditched it. So what's happened? Oh, he's just got too much on the curb. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's going to be so easy to do around here though. So easy to do around here. Let's go on board actually, if we can. So we'll see what it looked like from his perspective. This is going to be a long old replay, just a warning. Just part of the replay system on here. It's just got a little bit on the grass, and from that point it's curtains. Oh, so unlucky. There's not much I can do about it other than sit and let everyone get past. There's no way he can really join while they're all flying through. Oh, so that's gutting. So he's down to, I think it's 9th spot now. So that's very unlucky. What a great drive he was putting in. But yeah, slowly getting back up amongst it again. So that's a shame. So that'll be his race pretty much done, unfortunately. He'll just try and get it to the end. Gives Scott Vincent a bit of breathing space now, though. 3.3 seconds back to Kieran Sharp. But on the previous time in line, 3.6 now. So Sharpie really pushed, but he's just dropped back a little bit now. Scott Vincent finding his feet a little bit. See David Martin and Joe LaCour fighting for that final podium spot. Two Aston Martins, third, let's start that again. 3rd, 4th and 5th all in the Aston Martin. It's got with Dean Thompson. That car doesn't half, liveries like that do not stand out in this kind of weather. brighten up anyone's day. Got Martin Legg in the red and, what would that be, silver. And McLaren down in 6th. We've got the 2 green boys of Matt Acton and the Batch. Andrew Pike in that Porsche. Maybe struggling a little bit around here. And then Sebastian Bush, the last kart on track. Daniel O'Brien, I think, just a bit too much damage, unfortunately, from that crash. Did look like a very poorly car there. I can imagine you hit that at the wrong point, you are going to be really ruining the steering there. So it's a massive shame. He was driving superbly well. But yeah, those things happen, unfortunately, in this kind of weather. Be interesting to get feedback from them, how they've all felt these cars handled the conditions. Don't think we'll be having any rain in the leagues. In the GT4 league, that will be just dry weather, I believe, but yeah, it should be good. So Sharp, 3.6 seconds back. Don't know if he's going to be able to close that gap at all, though. Scott Vincent's still putting some good laps in. They're very similar times at the moment. The last lap was pretty much identical. So the gap isn't increasing, but it's not decreasing, and that really isn't going to help Kieran Sharp whatsoever. So nearly halfway through the race, as our pit crew is about to tell us.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
Thank you very much. So 3.5 seconds back at the moment is Kieran Sharp from Scott Vincent. David Martin on for a possible podium if he can keep Joe Lacour at bay. 1.3 seconds is that gap at the moment. You can see at the moment the headlights of that fluorescent Aston. So sitting in 4th at the moment. Kieran Sharp's just going to have to hope that really Scott Vincent makes a mistake, because that gap is not closing down by enough. Another couple of tenths there, 3.2. Just think that's where the Ginetta is stronger around certain parts of the circuit, and then suddenly the I say that it's 2 Ginettas at the front, isn't it? So actually on that front it doesn't really make much difference. So it's all going to be about how stable they feel in their own car. So it's going to be how they're driving and just if they nail a sector or not. But in these weather conditions, that's going to exacerbate any good corners or bad corners. You'll lose or gain more time from your good driving or your mistakes when it's wet. So it just amplifies everything. So you just have to be really careful. Hits apex nicely there. Still 3.2 seconds at the last sector line. Oh, gets a lot of grass there. That's a risky old business. Don't want to do a day note off into the wall. Especially at that pace, that would have been curtains very, very quickly. Daniel O'Brien's about on track now. Yeah, he is, so he's got that damage repaired. Fair enough. Thought I'll do the last few laps, use it as a testing ground. But I didn't want to do it with a damaged car, which is totally understandable. So 8 minutes remaining. Scott Vincent really driving very well at the moment. Looking comfortable still. See as Sharp becomes over the line. Yeah, 3.7. So it's not really changing much at all. Their last laps again. I mean, Scott Vincent actually 2.5 tenths quicker. So yeah, just stretching that lead out bit by bit. Joe Lacour on for that podium spot now after O'Brien's crash earlier. David Martin just under a second that gap, so still very, very close. Both in the Aston, so will be similarly matched. Around here, won't see any performance differences between the two. But naturally, as with ACC, you're going to see slightly different comfort zones between the two drivers. Different driving styles, you know, they all make a difference, especially in this weather. And as you saw earlier, it only takes one mistake. Oh, that's David Martin getting very wide down. That's a sort of wide line that can bite you in the bottom round here this evening. I'll say that Joe Lacour then does it in the next corner. You just need to put the throttle down just at the wrong moment, just as one of your rear tyres is on the grass, and it's bye-bye. Unfortunately, it's straight off into the gravel trap or the wall. So coming up to the top of the hill. Nail the apex. David Martin just hitting a bit too much curb there. I think that's going to slow him down a treat there, really, and you just let Joe Lacour pull away. You can see on the timing screen as well, Kieran Sharp now down 4.5 seconds, so he's had a poor lap. Scott Vincent actually has had an amazing lap. David Martin going very wide down the hill, so that's going to probably penalise him. Let's go with Scott Vincent now. He's looking really handy here in these conditions. He's a long way up on his previous lap. He's now come back down to about the same delta. He's maybe a couple of tenths up. His best lap up till now is a 58.017, so he's just getting quicker and quicker as that warm tyre creates a dry line. A little bit of a dry line on track, and the track rubbers in, so 1:57.765 now. Kieran Sharp 4.5 seconds back, struggling to bring that gap down. So not too much he can do about it. And then fairly safe though, 4.4 seconds back to third, so shouldn't have to worry unless he really has a moment, a bit like O'Brien did earlier. He should be safe. Sharp on a good delta at the moment though, up on his best lap time. Would actually be a quickest, let's say that again, he will be a quicker, fastest lap than Scott Vincent will be the fastest lap of the race actually, if he just hold on to the 2 tenths. David Martin again trying to close in on Joe LaCour. LaCour lost a few tenths this lap, so that gap has just come down a little bit, a couple of tenths less between them than there were. So again, coming out to the top of the hill, just you can see, just turned in a little bit too early. He's done that I think he did that on the last couple of laps we've seen him around here actually. So he's making that same mistake. Just needs to get in a bit faster. I think he's braking probably a little bit too early and starting to turn in a little bit early. It is a slightly blind turn. He's just about worked out the way to get around there flat, but it doesn't allow you to get slowed down. And he's done well to keep that out of the wall, but there's his chances of a podium gone, unfortunately. So it's so easily done around here, especially in the wet. So easily done. So Kieran Sharp come around again. 4 minutes remaining. Scott Vincent at the foreground there, driving a superb race so far. Just under 5 seconds that gap now. Scott Vincent setting in yet another fastest lap, 57.735. Very little you can do about it really, the way he's driving. He's got some really good pace, really feeling consistent clearly. Whether he's gone for slightly different settings, I don't know. Nothing you can do really on the aero on these. So whether it'll just be how comfortable he's feeling in the car. It'll be good experience, good time in the car for all of them. Just get more familiar with the GT4s, try a different couple of cars, try the different conditions. It's all time on track. It all makes a difference at the moment. So it's obviously a newly released car pack, so it's only been out a week now. So there's only so much they can be familiar with it. So just under 3 minutes to go now. 4.6 seconds is the lead. You can see the gaps actually for the front 5 are all really, really big. 4.5 seconds being the smallest gap between any of them. So around this long downhill straight, you can just about see the car behind you, the next car behind you, but only just. It's got next closest battle is Matt Acton in 6th. It's 2.1 seconds between him. Let's go on board actually. Let's go on board. So that's 2.1. Oh, saying that. Yep. So Dean Thompson's clearly had a bit of a nightmare this lap. He's 2 seconds down on his best lap. So yeah, he's had a dodgy lap as Thompson. And Acton is approaching him now. Trying to just latch on, at least have a fight. So we'll stay with these two a little bit. It's the only fight we've got on track at the moment. Obviously been raining all race. But you will have a slightly rubbered in line, I would imagine. Because if they're all in wets, well, how much water that will be getting rid of. So Dean Thompson trying to give this as much as he can. Oh, interesting last lap. Kieran Sharp much faster there. Has set a 57.411. So it was a second quicker than Scott Vincent. Whether Vincent just made a mistake there. Either way, that's a really quick lap. Easily the best lap of the race by 3 tenths. So has got the pace. If he does that this lap again, then he's on for a fight if Scott doesn't set his really solid times. Let's go on board. So 3.8 the last sector line. I'll keep our eye on that when they go across the next timing line. Laura Towell, evening. Haven't seen your name for a little while. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're okay, all things considered in this crazy world at the moment. Yeah, leg down in 8th at the moment. Not, as I said, not the easiest conditions, especially. Probably very few of these have done any GT4 time in the rain. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a blessing to fire, even with the small grid. Just a lot of people trying to work it out for themselves. Well, looks like Scott Vincent up on his best lap again now, so he's going to beat Clearing Sharp's time, it looks like. Really nailing this final sector. I'm doing fine, lots of work. Fair enough. I'm glad to hear you well. Really glad to hear you doing well. Always just nice to know people are surviving and sort of getting on at the moment. All in a meeting. I'll be quiet, just don't tell them.
Right, man. Leader is on the final.
Naughty, naughty. I won't get you in trouble. So I'm nice like that. Just scream your name out. The joys of working at home, isn't it? It's like mute mic, watch video. Hope they don't ask me anything important. So best lap of the race is still at Kieran Sharp with that 57.411, but Vincent with a 57.414, only 3 thousandths slower. Just keeping that gap now. Kieran Sharp doing his best to close in, but really struggling. There's not much you can do about that. Not really going to be able to close that gap down. Scott has driven superbly this race. Daniel O'Brien did look like he'd be part of that fight for a long time. This is the only other driver who's been setting laps in the 57s. 57.915 being his best. But just unable to match those guys, and obviously had that big off, unfortunately, which put him in the wall. He's pitted for repairs, and then he's just used it as track time, used it as practice, which is good stuff. David Martin down in 4th. He's 8 seconds back from Jared Lecor now, so they've really separated. Dean Thompson holding on to 5th. Matt Axon just behind him, so easily the best fight on track, the closest fight on track at the moment. We've got the batch with Martin Legg, though, not far behind him. I think there he is, Martin Legg in the McLaren. Trying to close down on that Welshman in the AMG. And the man filter number 2 livery. But not sure what cameraman's doing. There we go. So we'll go on board with Scott as he comes around towards the end of the lap. Superb driving from him all race. Come around the second to last corner, a little bit of sideways action. But just superbly well, as Scott always does. Finds that limit, knows where it is. Just consistent, good laps, didn't make many mistakes. Comes around the final corner, and it's a dominating win there from Scott. Well done, Scott, on the win in race number 2 in that Ginetta, superbly driven. And a fastest lap to boot at 57.336 on that final lap. Great driving from Scott to take the fastest lap on that fastest lap on the last lap. Superb driving. Joe Lecor comes home for a podium. Comes home in 3rd, so he's looking good in these GT4s. Wasn't able to match the top 2 and Daniel O'Brien today, though. David Martin coming home in 4th, so still held on to a good finishing position. Dean Thompson in 5th. Again, decent finish for him. Matt's really hugging the wall there. Comes home in 6th. Well on to Matt. The batch really hold on. Gets a bit of a wheel coming out the final corner. Martin Legg not able to just quite capitalise on it though. The batch I think is probably quite happy there. Coming home in 7th. Just ahead of Martin Legg in 8th. Had Andrew Pike coming home slightly bruised. Porsche in 9th. And then Daniel O'Brien. So coming down the hill at the moment. So pitted for repairs earlier. Was looking really good and really strong for a decent finish in the top few positions. Just unfortunately, yeah, not going to quite work out for him after he got a wheel on the grass, and then round he went, unfortunately, and then had to sit there as everyone went past. Being the very well behaved driver that he is, never would want to ruin anyone's race by rejoining stupidly. Same, you know, I know exactly how he feels. So you just sit there and just have to wait. Unfortunately, is what it is. But fair play to him for that racecraft. So it comes around the final corner. So Lisa gets to the end of the race. Still used it, as I said, good track practice time. So he won't mind that too much. Now just Sebastian Bouge there, coming across the line to finish in 10th place. There we go. So yeah, it's difficult conditions that, not the easiest. Kyalami in the wet, especially in the GT4s. Like I say, cars they're not going to be hugely familiar with yet. Not going to have really dialed in how they feel in those cars. But superb drive from Scott Vincent. 57.336 being the best lap. See, that's what happens if you floor it at the wrong point there. But yeah, you can do it on the practice on the cool down lap. Wonder if he knows he's on stream. I think he must do now. Give it some money, Scott. Oh, cameraman, don't do that. Ah, come on, Scott. Do some. Don't. Come on. No offense, Scott, but I swapped all that so we could watch you do donuts. Come on. Provide. That's some really great driving. That pace was unbelievably good. And yeah, if he drives like that in the league, I mean, it'll be closer than that race was in the league. That in the wet conditions was always going to be a bit rough.
Green light.
But
Go,
yeah,
go.
they gave it a go, and yeah, that's what they got. So, but fair play to them. It was a good effort. Let's go into the garage. Let's look at the time tables for the race. Does it? No, it's gone back to free practice already, so I can't check. God darn it. Oh well, never mind. But yeah, superb driving. Well done to Scott. They should be pretty happy with that. Well driven from him in those conditions. Clearly very au fait with the rain and the wet. So if it's do have wet races in the league, all of a sudden, or any wet races with GT4s in them, enduros and all that in the future, I think he could be a strong contender, clearly. So yeah, some good racing tonight. Just a warm-up race for these GT4s. Just trying to get some more track time with them and see how they handle and see how they fare. But yeah, turn TC off twice and spun twice. Yeah, does that? So have you learned anything there, Leg? I feel that they may have taught you something. So yes, 4 streams in 4 nights. That was stream number 1 of 4. Tomorrow I'll be back with the Formula 3s on the race room. That is at Hockenheimring at Grand Prix. So the GP layout, full layout there in the F3s. On Saturday we have our OTL Goodwood Festival of Speed there on. That's on Assetto Corsa, just the baseline Assetto Corsa. I think Sharpie might know he's on. Knows he's on. Oh well, there we go. Just like he does it in the race. So go and sit next to Scott, or park it in the garage, someone else's garage clearly. But yeah, thank you very much for that, Sharpie. So yeah, Saturday Goodwood Speed Festival of Speed. All those words just in a different order. On ACC, so we've got I think it's 10 drivers, all pick different cars that they can have a go in. I'll be streaming that, then flying up the Goodwood hill climb. How quickly though is another matter. But yeah, it should be fun to see. That's a bit more of a chilled stream. That should be good fun. Sharpie's having a whale of a time here. And then yeah, this weekend, round number 1. Oh, Scott's down here. Go on, give it some welly. Come on. No, just gonna sit there. Just make a whole lot of noise. Oh, there's Dano. Oh, nearly parked it beautifully there. So taking in turns for burnouts in the pit lane. Probably get fined for that, I'd imagine. So round number 1 at the Nürburgring for season number 4 of our GT3 league on ACC. So hour-long race. That on Sunday should be good fun here. Oh, just coming towards the camera and closer and closer. Cameraman will get out of the way if I were you. Can't wait for him to get DQ'd for doing something. Driving in the pit lane the wrong way, but the game seems pretty lenient on that at the moment. Can they drive into each other? No, that's a shame. So yes, Sunday, 4th stream of 4. Should be fun. Back into the GT3s for season number 4 at Nürburgring. Always a good track that as well. Provide some good racing. Oh, they can definitely touch now. Yeah, there we go. Let a bit of steam off. Scott's a dirty driver, really terrible. Sharpie is as well. Frankly, this is just them driving like they would normally drive if we weren't watching, I reckon. That's what Sharpie would have done if he could have got anywhere near Scott in the race. But, you know, bottle job, so oh well. So I know how he feels. It's a lot of pent-out aggression that you need to get out of your system sometimes. Just shake it off and, you know, feels better for it. So, anyways, rather than waffle on any more, like I said, tomorrow, F3s on the race room. It'll be good fun at Hockenheim. Goodwood Festival of Speed on Saturday on AC. God, that's looking worse for when now. And then Sunday for ACC. And then Tuesday, round number 2 of our Clio Cup on Xbox One Project Cars 2. And that is at Silverstone National, nice short track. That's going to be very, very close. Should be superb watching, even in Dano. Until you binned, that was quite good until you binned it. Yeah, I changed the camera to you just after you'd binned it. So we did catch a replay. So yeah, watched all of that fun afterwards. Children, yeah. To be honest, that looks like they're having a great time. Ooh, okay, that hurt. And I know they're giggling like 4-year-olds as well, which is only like 1 year younger than they act most of the time, but still. So yes, and then we'll be back next week with an evaluation race for the GT4 League. So from now on, there'll be evaluation races for the league sign up. We'll be opening very, 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 very shortly. So get in on that in the Discord if you want to get involved. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the racing we saw here tonight. So if you want to get involved, join the Discord at otlracing.com/Discord. You can join there, get involved, say hi, choose your roles, and yeah, they have also. And yeah, you can have hopefully a wonderful time and get involved in whatever game and platform you're in. And yeah, hopefully get involved and get away from this public lobby nonsense where you see people driving like those two just did there on their cooldown lap. So anyways, thank you very much everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Cheers for the new follow. Thanks for your eyes and ears for the evening. I will catch you tomorrow for a bit of a race room. But until then, stay safe. Take care. And while Scott waves bye-bye. Bye, Scott! We'll see you tomorrow. So cheers all. See you soon. And goodbye.